всегда мечтаешь ты. А я так не в тебя, мне весело, когда я пение слышу. Аж как по мосточку, по калиновым носочкам. Я не способна к грусти томной, я не люблю мечтать в тиши. И на балконе ночью темной вздыхать, вздыхать, вздыхать из глубины души. Зачем вздыхать, когда счастлива мои дни юные текут? Я беззаботна и шаловлива, меня ребенком все зовут. Мне будет жизнь всегда, всегда мила, и останусь, как и прежде, подобно ветреной надежде, резво, беспечно, весело, подобно ветреной надежде, резво, беспечно, весело. Я не способна к грусти томной, я не люблю мечтать в тиши. И на балконе ночью темной вздыхать, вздыхать, вздыхать из глубины души. Зачем вздыхать, когда счастлива мои дни юные текут? Я беззаботна и шаловлива, меня ребенком все зовут.
I felt like a failure for a long time. My stage fright started when I was studying for my bachelor's degree in classical performance in London in September of 2010. Before that, I was always a big fish in a small pond, and I didn't know anyone else who was on the same path as me, a teenager pursuing classical singing seriously. I came to London full of confidence and big dreams. Those were instantly shattered with our first public class, where I sang the same piece you just heard a few moments ago. There, I wasn't special. I was just one of the many 18-year-olds who were starting their studies with me. We were all comparing and judging each other. Some more, some less, but we all did it. Our self-worth was totally dependent on what we perceived our peers and our professors thought of our performance that day. I didn't sing well that first time. I didn't sing well the time after that or the time after that. In fact, I don't believe I sang well truly once in those first 5 years after I left high school. I worked hard. I practiced tirelessly, spent countless hours listening to music and developing my taste, translating texts, taking part in master classes, watching them online. I avoided places that were noisy. I did not smoke and I did not drink. I did everything I could for the voice. Sometimes I would get very encouraged at a possible breakthrough and excited, only to be faced with the thought that I am not good enough and I will never be good enough. This can be demotivating even for the most resilient of people, and most days felt like a struggle of picking myself up in spite of what the world seemed to be telling me. All I kept thinking was, will I ever be good enough? What is wrong with me? Thankfully, I have always had a sense in my core that I had a gift, and this is what kept me going even in those dark times. I got very lucky, and I met someone very special in 2015 when I was already doing my master's degree in Germany. I met a pianist who taught me how to improvise. I have had limited contact with this kind of music making, but I was never encouraged to pursue it further, nor was I aware that there was a whole scene of people who devoted themselves to it. To me, improvisation was just jazz music. It was clear from the beginning that this came quite easily to me. This is not to say I didn't need to work on this skill. However, there is a big difference between consistently working on something that brings you further and, on the other hand, repeatedly hitting a wall, as I was experiencing with the classical singing. In our lessons with the pianist, we would work on a lot of things and a lot of ways of how to create music spontaneously. A lot of the time, and perhaps one of the most important lessons though, was creating motifs, little fragments of melody. I would start by singing a little melody, and then he would tell me to memorize it, repeat it again, develop it. It takes a certain kind of deliberateness and consciousness to be able to know exactly what I'm singing and to be able to repeat it. But this became very quickly second nature. And as we created pieces through this way, we could experiment more and more. Sometimes we would also work on dry technical exercises that I did not enjoy. And at first, this kind of way of music making was really just fun for me. I didn't really see a possibility of creating anything more out of it. There was this one exercise when my pianist would play one note on the piano, and he would ask me to sing another note with a specific goal in mind. He wanted me to think of a specific note that I would like him to play after that note. And this worked like a chain. It used to be quite frustrating, but that didn't last very long. In the space of about a year, a lot of things changed for me musically. As my mind was no longer focused on perfection but on creation, I noticed that my voice started to sing much better when I was improvising. I felt in control of it without needing to control it. I could finally open my mouth to sing without worrying about the technical sides of every single note that was coming out. It was so freeing, especially after about 5 years of the exact opposite. I was finally creating my music again, something that I've dreamed of for a very long time. This instilled a sense of confidence in me as a musician and as an artist, which really has allowed me to progress further in the way that I make music in all spheres. And in all spheres of life, really. Since I have found this for myself, I crave the approval of others much less than I ever have before. I have found my musical home. And now I've been talking about this improvising for a while, but I bet none of you really know what this sounds like. So now I will sing for you again, but this time I don't know what text I am going to use or if I will use text, and I have no clue what kind of a melody will come out of my mouth.
Dem anderen Feld
This liberating music really made me think a lot about how I approach things when I sing the classical repertoire. And it made me really ask myself, how do I take this kind of musical sovereignty into the way I approach the standard repertoire? Or a better way to ask, perhaps, is, how do I bring the sensation of fun, freedom, exploration, and ease into the way that I sing classical music? I have a few ideas about what went wrong, although I don't have everything figured out yet. And I know a few things that I do better when I'm improvising. Firstly, or maybe on a more general note, the fact that I get to create my own music and classical repertoire is no longer my only outlet for creative expression, that gives me peace to be able to consistently work on my technique and with patience. It also means that I now know what my voice sounds like when I stop trying to control it and what it wants to be. In another way also, when I focus on the text that I am singing instead of focusing on technical things, I no longer have the mental capacity to try to control everything. I'm really just much more focused on communicating. I have felt for a long time that improvising a piece of music is like a microcosm of life itself. When I just let go of the control, listen to those around me, and mean what I say, things seem to work out. You see, improvising is all about communication and being present. It is about contemplation. Is what I am going to say going to bring us further into the discussion that we're having, or will it distract us from what we're doing right now? What kind of a reaction am I trying to get from the public and from my musical partners? It is about relationships. The relationships between the musicians, the relationship between the ensemble and the audience. Hopefully we get to create good music in the process of it, but if not, we'll just have to try better next time. I am convinced that classical music could only benefit from this approach. And now I would like to sing another piece for you from Benjamin Britten. It is a folk song arrangement that has been composed with improvised techniques in mind.
The trees, they grow so high, and the leaves, they do grow green. And many a cold winter's night, my love and I have seen. Oh, the cold winter's night, my love, you and I alone have been. Whilst my bonny boy is young, he's a growing, growing, growing. Whilst my bonny boy is young, he's a growing. Oh, Father, dearest Father, you've done to me great wrong. You've tied me to a boy when you know he's too young. Oh, daughter, dearest daughter, if you wait a little while, a lady you shall be while he's growing. Growing, growing, a lady you shall be while he's growing. I'll send your love to college all for a year or two, and then in the meantime he will do for you. I'll buy him white ribbons, tie them round his bunny waist, to let the ladies know that he's married. Married, married, to let the ladies know that he's married. I went up to the college and I looked over the wall, saw 24 gentlemen playing at bat and ball. I called for my true love, but they would not let him come, all because he was a young boy and growing, 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 all because he was a young boy and growing. At the age of 16, 16 he was a married man, and at the age of 17 he was father to a son. And at the age of 18 the grass grew over him. Cruel death soon put an end to his growing. Cruel death soon put an end to his growing. And now my love is dead, and in his grave doth lie. The green grass grows o'er him so very, very high. I'll sit on the mourn his fate until the day I die, and I'll watch o'er his child while he's growing.